Here's why the Niners should trade Jimmy Garoppolo right now. So yes, it's not his fault that the protection isn't good. And with a better line, he could succeed. If you gave him Penei Sewell and Trent Williams, he certainly could succeed. Here's the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's partially his fault that this offensive line is so bad. It's partially his fault that the offensive line can't block because he makes $27 million a year. They can't afford to build a quality offensive line because they spend all their money on defensive line. Here's what happens. If you spend $27 million a year on a quarterback and then spend big money on an offensive line too, you're like the Raiders. You end up with the worst defense in the league. So it's a conundrum. What do? Seems to me you go cheap at the quarterback position because it's easier than ever to get average to good quarterback play. That's what Jimmy Garoppolo is giving you when he's healthy. Average to good quarterback play, beefed up by a genius offensive coordinator and a terrific supporting cast and a bad offensive line. So if you cut Jimmy Garoppolo, you could replace his skill set rather easily. He doesn't move. He doesn't throw downfield. He doesn't throw outside the numbers. He's not that rare of a talent. You can replace that. And with the $20 million, $25 million you save, now you can build the offensive line. You can re-sign Trent Williams, get Penei Sewell, sign a center and a guard. How about that? So Jimmy Garoppolo, in a sense, here's the thing. If the Niners can trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Patriots, do it. Because they need the cap space before free agency starts. They got to really improve this offensive line before the draft. They can't let Trent Williams walk because they didn't get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo quick enough. So if they can trade Jimmy Garoppolo, great. If they have to cut him, that's kind of like a trade too, because look at all the players they can sign if they cut him. One way or another, it's a trade. Don't be scared, Niners. Get rid of this guy. He's not the problem. His contract is. His lack of durability is. Sorry, Jimmy. You don't have the durability to be a starter. You got to go. If you were a free agent and you got cut, you wouldn't get $50 million over the next 2 years, which is what you're scheduled to get. 52 million, 54 million. No, you'd get like 25, 30, maybe max. So trade him now. Don't bet on him coming back and staying healthy and rebuilding his value next year because it's the same bad offensive line. He's the same skittish quarterback. And we all agree Jimmy Garoppolo's an injury-prone health risk, right? You can't depend on him. We all agree on that, right? We'll come back to my previous point. Nick Bosa? Nick Bosa's much more of an injury risk than Jimmy Garoppolo. You compare Nick Bosa's injury history to Garoppolo's, is no comparison. Yeah, Jimmy had one torn ACL, a high ankle sprain, and a separated shoulder. Nick Bosa's had 2 torn ACLs, one with other ligaments involved, and a torn core muscle. It's way more serious. So yeah, get rid of the injury-prone guys. Rod Simmons says, wouldn't bringing in a hard hitter like Cam Chancellor be beneficial since this is Seattle's defense? Physicality is what's lacking. Well, sure. Absolutely. I think the Niners have been trying to add that type of element to the defense since they signed Quan Alexander. Because Fred Warner is great, but he's not a hard hitter. He's a smart player, a versatile guy who can do everything, but he's not a hard hitter. Devin White, hard hitter. Patrick Willis, hard hitter. NaVorro Bowman, hard hitter. Cam Chancellor. Is Jaquiski Tartt a hard hitter? Not really. Excellent player. Not a soft hitter, but when he does go in for the big hit, he often breaks an arm or separates a shoulder, hurts himself. The biggest hitter on the Niners defense is honestly Jimmy Ward. He hits hard. He's a good tackler, but maybe, Dre Greenlaw's a pretty hard hitter. Sure, it could benefit to have that physicality, but really, if you bring in those hard hitters, they're kind of a 15-yard penalty waiting to happen in today's NFL. The league has really legislated those plays out. There are no Ronnie Lotts anymore. I think it's more important to be able to cover, tackle well, not necessarily hard, just tackle well and cover. And so good question, Rod.